Welcome to another edition of the Inspired Stories podcast, where leaders share their experiences so we can learn from their successes and be inspired by how they've overcome adversity. My name is Anthony Codispoti, and today's guest is Dr. J. Luis Aguilar. Born and raised in Mexico City, Jay started as an electromechanical engineer while he dreamed of working in the amusement industry, specifically designing rides like roller coasters. Today, he is living his dream. He serves as the Global Vice President of Business Development at Chance Rides. They are an amusement ride manufacturer based in Wichita, Kansas, with over 60 years of experience. They have delivered more than 3,000 rides worldwide, including trains, trams, carousels, and roller coasters. Under Jay's leadership, the company has participated in major industry events and earned recognition for its commitment to safety and innovation. Now, before we get into all that good stuff, today's episode is brought to you by my company, Add Back Benefits Agency, where we offer very specific and unique employee benefits that are both great for your team and fiscally optimized for your bottom line. Imagine being able to give your employees free access to doctors, therapists, and prescription medications. And here's the fun part. The program actually puts more money into your employees' pockets and the company's too. One recent client was able to increase net profits by $900 per employee per year. Results vary for each company, and some organizations may not be eligible. To find out if your company qualifies, contact us today at addbackbenefits.com. All right, back to our guest today, Global VP of Business Development and Marketing at Chance Rides, J. Luis Aguilar. Jay, thanks for making the time to share your story today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am looking forward to have a great conversation. And once again, thank you for having me. And thank you for that fantastic introduction.
Absolutely. So, Jay, born in Mexico City.
Yes.
You started out as an engineer, but in the automotive industry.
Mm-hmm.
But you always had this huge attraction to amusement rides. What first sparked that interest?
It is something that I can't explain. I just remember that when my parents, they were taking us to the zoo or the amusement park, I just had the idea that I like humans behaving when they are having the family at the amusement park. I was always attracted to that. I thought I was actually having a great moment. And over time, you realize you are building memories. So that idea really took me from early during my life. So, yes.
So you didn't start out in amusement rides. You started out in the automotive industry.
Yes. So what happened is electromechanical, as you mentioned, electromechanical engineer by training. And I was having those thoughts, right? I really would like to work for a company doing amusement rides. And it's just like life is funny. My first job out of college was actually working in the automotive industry. So I worked for that industry for many years. And then it happened that probably after 20 years, one of the teammates at the company that I was working at the time told me that Chance, they were looking for a VP of sales. And Chance, just so you know, they built a roller coaster for Six Flags Mexico. And still today, that coaster has the highest ridership in the Six Flags system. So obviously, the name was very familiar to me. So here I am in Wichita, Kansas, right? Life is about trade-offs. And yeah, I certainly moved from Nashville to Wichita, but literally living my dream. So that's how I did my transition from other industry to the amusement industry.
And so the way that this door opened is a friend just happened to notice or be aware that Chance Rides was hiring.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how it happened. And we connect. We connect through LinkedIn. And here I am 8 years after I joined the company back in October 2017.
Okay. And so let's go into a little bit more detail about what it is that you guys do there.
Mm-hmm.
So roller coasters, are we talking about like the big, huge, giant ones, or maybe the smaller ones that are a little more suitable to my kids?
Yes, exactly. So one of the products that we do are obviously roller coasters, but perhaps that is not the bread and the butter for the company. So to give you a little idea, the company actually was created based on one product, and this product is the CP Huntington train, a replica of the CP Huntington train. And then after that, the family owner of the company at the time, they were able to penetrate different markets such as the carousels, wheels, and one of them was roller coasters, right? That in the way we penetrate that market was actually through an acquisitions. Back in the early 2000s, they acquired a company called Morgan. Morgan was a company doing roller coasters. And by purchasing or acquiring Morgan, we were able to penetrate that market. Obviously, we have done coasters after that acquisition as chance, but that's exactly how we penetrate that market. And it's just one of the products that we do. We don't do the big ones. So there are companies that they are the big boys doing roller coasters. And we don't compete with those guys. We do, I'm going to say, for small and medium size amusement parks, like the one in Kentucky Kingdom. The one in Kentucky, the park name is Kentucky Kingdom. The Lion Run, that is a coaster that we did. About that size of coasters is primarily what we do when it comes to coasters.
And so when the acquisition of Morgan was made, did you maintain their production facility wherever that is, or did you bring it into Wichita, Kansas?
To Wichita, Kansas. What it was happening at the time in California, it was primarily the brain, the design, the technical portion of it, and the manufacturing came right away to Wichita, Kansas.
Okay. But you got your start, Chance Rides did, in the replica of this CP Huntington train.
Yes.
Give me any idea the size of this train. Like, I've been to a zoo where there's a train where my family and I get in and it rides around. Or like I go to the pumpkin patch and there's like a really small one that like my kids get in and it just kind of goes round and round in a circle.
All right. So actually both. If you go to a zoo, remind me again, where are you located?
I'm in Columbus, Ohio. So
all right, Columbus. For instance, if you go to the Columbus Zoo and you get on that train, that is actually our replica of the CP Huntington train. That is a chance train, right? That is the size of the trains that we do today. Now, going back to the pumping patch that they go around and around, earlier in the history of the company, we used to do smaller trains in what we call gauge number 12 and number 16 and number 20. Nowadays, the only gauge that we do is gauge 24. So just so you know, what we describe as the gauge is the distance between the tracks. So back in the 70s, 16 and 20 was the traditional regular size of a train, smaller trains. As the time progressed, and also for safety reasons, when you have a wider support, is more difficult to have incidents, right? So what we do today is 24. But yeah, the company created the train back in 1961, already in gauge 24. So both of them we do, or we did in the past, the smaller trains.
Gotcha. And I've always wondered, when I go to that pumpkin patch, obviously they're not using that little train year round, but do they still own it? Or was there some sort of a lease program? Like, hey, we'll send it to you for a few weeks, you send it back, and how does that work?
Yeah, as far as I know, in the history of the company, we have not done leasing. So when we deliver a train is after we do a contract and we get a deposit. So we don't do leasing.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. And as I understand now, today, what you're really known for are the carousel rides.
I'm going to say that we are known by, I'm going to say the three core products: trains, carousels, and trams. The carousel, however, has become the product that anywhere from the local zoo all the way to the big boys like Universal, they come to us, right? So the carousel has been perhaps the top performer when it comes to creative intent and complexity of the products that we do.
Complexity of the product. Say more about that. Seems like it's pretty simple. Just, some wooden horses going around in a circle, but I'm overlooking something here.
Yes. If you have you had the chance to visit Universal Orlando, for instance?
No, I haven't.
All right. So, or SeaWorld.
Sure.
All right. So, if we think in terms of the carousel, we all human beings, you hear the word carousel and you think the classic carousel, only horses going around, very simple machine. That's it, right? With the time, and especially once again with those big companies, they do have a large team. With the team task is creative intent. If you think about it, those guys, they own a lot of IPs, right? And I'm going to give you one example. Universal, they own the IP for Kung Fu Panda, right? When they were working on the master planning for Universal in Beijing, one of the IPs they wanted to work on was Kung Fu Panda. So we work with them to create a carousel that actually shows the character of the movie of Kung Fu Panda. So at that point, you add a lot of complexity to the machine, right? You have to create these carousel creatures slash figures where they provide perhaps the original concept, like the Kung Fu Panda, right? The Kung Fu, the main figure of the picture. But then you have to add what is the final design in order for that creature to have a human being on it as part of the carousel.
So I'm not riding a horse, I'm riding a character from this movie.
Exactly, right? And then once again, they do have a large team of creative people that they come with very creative ideas. For instance, the Kung Fu Panda carousel, the lighting of that carousel is quite unique. So you have to come with this new design. If the principle is still a carousel that maybe doesn't really look like a carousel, but it's still a carousel. But the design that goes into it is significant, right? That is one example. The other example is the Minions carousel that was also created and built for Universal in Sentosa in Singapore. Imagine we did the carousels with the teaming of the Minions. Imagine that you are getting on a machine that has Minions and kids are getting on them to actually have that.
They're riding the Minion characters.
Exactly, right? So it sounds very simple, and we all think about the classic simple carousel. They can become very, very complex machines. Yeah.
Well, isn't I thinking just about the classic, with the horse, they're actually very ornate, that I'm thinking back. There's a lot of artwork. There's a lot of artistic design that goes even into the typical horse ones.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Our artists, actually, we have to tell them how many hours they can spend on each of the figures, depending on the level of hours that they can spend. We are using one word, artists, right? An artist is in the way they express themselves, right? So if you give an artist 1,000 hours for painting one figure, they're going to spend that and more time, right? But obviously, everything is related to money. So we need to give them, hey, you know what? For this specific level, client is paying this many hours, right? So, and everything is hand painted. Every single, from the most basic horse to the most sophisticated Minion or Kung Fu Panda is hand painted.
Wow.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What's maybe the most surprising thing that people don't know about manufacturing amusement park rides in general?
I want to say perhaps what you just expressed a few minutes ago. They look very simple from the outside, but once you start looking at everything that goes into the attraction, from the mechanical structure all the way to the hand painting art, they don't see, it's hard for the people to picture all that together, how they come all together. Yeah.
How about the rides that I see at like a neighborhood festival where, I think the group is traveling with them from
Yes.
one city to the next? Do you manufacture these?
Yes. For a couple of decades, Chance was perhaps the largest manufacturer for those attractions, what we call portable and also known as the carnival market. You have one carnival going to X city. They are there for 2 weekends and then they move to the next. We did a lot of those. Once again, for probably 20, 30 years, 80% of the revenue was coming from that specific segment. We did a couple of icon attractions. I'm not sure if you remember or if you did get on the zipper. The zipper was created and manufactured by Chance, and is still an icon portable carnival ride. So we did a lot of those, and yes, giving you answer to your question, yes, we did a lot of those for many years.
Not so much anymore?
Not so much anymore, and we didn't exit that market intentionally. Has been a little bit of, want to say, economics, right? In America, as you know, we have some conditions that we cannot compete with, perhaps some conditions that they do have either in Europe or perhaps in Asia Pacific. So pricing was the thing that actually didn't help us to keep at the portable market. Now we are trying actually to get back into that segment, by the way.
You're saying that's something that maybe some countries that have lower labor costs,
Yes.
because these are smaller portable rides that almost transform down into this, compact space that's a little bit easier to put on an ocean freighter and bring over here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is correct.
So you're an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
You got your dream job. You're
Yes.
working at Chance Rides with roller coasters. But as I understand it, you're not on the engineering side. You're on the sales side.
I am actually, and if that's okay with you, I would like to walk you how I did my transition.
Please.
So I started working for this German company, part of the automotive industry, and so I was actually hired as technology development engineer. So my job was developing a suspension system for Nissan at the time for the Sentra. So here I am working on that specific system for Nissan. And then the account manager for that account got sick. So got sick like the day before we were traveling to Tokyo for a big commercial presentation for this suspension system. So the director of the technical team came to me and said, "Hey, we have a situation here. And the situation is that the account manager cannot travel with you. You got to do it yourself. Is that something that you can handle it, or do we need to reschedule the meeting?" And I said, "You know what? I can handle it and have no issue at all." So I traveled by myself to Tokyo and did the whole presentation. I was obviously a little bit guided by how to manage the commercial side. And with that experience, I learned that this is something that I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Right? Went back at the time still in Mexico City, and I said to my former CEO, well, good news and bad news. Good news, everything went fantastic. We got the deal. Bad news, that is something that I would like to do for the rest of my career. And he was very supportive. He said, "You know what? I'm with you. I'm going to support you. And if that's something that you would like to do, absolutely." So why I did my transition, I saw that having a technical background actually helps you to answer commercial questions because most of the times they are related to the technical aspect of. So, and well, here I am doing the commercial side. Some engineers, they tell me, "Why did you cross to the dark side?" Right? But it's something that I enjoy. I'm going to say, and I'm going to admit that today I do have a good understanding of what we do. If somebody has a deep technical question, I admit I need help from one of the technical guys. this is a little bit too technical for me. I need your help, right? So that's how I did my transition, and this is how I love what I do.
So if it hadn't been for that coworker getting sick at Nissan all those years ago, you never would have gotten to dip your toe in the water.
Probably you're right. It's just, life is full of surprises.
So what went down in that first sales encounter overseas? Because you came back and you were energized by it to the point where it's like, that's what I want to do. I mean, for most people, when they get their first taste in a sales role, it's intimidating. You're up in front of people, it's high pressure, quotas to meet, et cetera, et cetera. But there was something in just that one visit on your own without, somebody there to help and support and guide you. What happened? Walk us through it.
I do believe it was a mix of, first of all, we are talking about the Japanese culture. They are very respectful people, very respectful. And that obviously was a big help and something that I really took into consideration, right? The product that we were discussing at the time, I did know very well what we were talking about. So I was full prepared for that meeting. I was dealing with people that they were very respectful to every single question, every single answer. Most importantly, I learned that when you understand the technical aspect, you can actually help the commercial side. And what I mean is, when you know the nuances of the technical aspect, you can perhaps a little bit sell it better because you have a good understanding of the product as a whole. So that's what happened. It was a combination of multiple factors.
So we've talked a little bit about the history of Chance Rides, some of the changes, the acquisitions made along the way. How did the company first get started?
The company was started by a family members. Harold. Harold Chance was generation number one. He used to work for a company called Autoway. Autoway was a company doing steam trains, right? Obviously, I didn't have the chance to interact with the family at the time. I made the assumption that Harold got tired of working for somebody else and decided to create his own company. And he came with the idea of doing this replica of the C.P. Huntington train. Back in the late 1900s, C.P. Huntington was a very popular engine. Engine number two was the engine that made C.P. Huntington very popular. Engine number two is actually still in Sacramento, inside of that museum in Sacramento. And so he created this train, this replica. And I was told by Dick Chance, who is generation number two, that his dad talked to him and said, if we do 10 or 20 of these, that's great success. Well, here we are almost 65 years after building unit 439, right? So that was the origin of the company, the C.P. Huntington.
And today the specialty is trams, carousels, trains.
Yes.
This is a naive newbie question, but what's the difference between a tram and a train?
All right. The train, by definition, you have tracks, right? Like the one that you go to Columbus Zoo, you get on the train, and the train has to have tracks, right? So that's the difference. The train has tracks. The tram is, if you go, for instance, to, I'm going to say, to a large amusement park in Florida, right? Traditionally, that park is going to be packed. That the size, I'm going to give you one example. For instance, if you go to Dollywood in Tennessee, right? The size of the parking lots are huge. If you get to the park by 10 o'clock, most likely your parking spot is going to be anywhere between 1/4 of a mile all the way to 1 mile away from the main entrance. So you get off your car, you walk to the closest station, you wait for the tram. The tram doesn't have track. It's just what we usually buy is a Ford chassis, and then we do the conversion to the tram. And you get on the tram. They take you from your station all the way to the main entrance, but it doesn't have a track. That's the main difference.
Okay, now I can visualize it. They do something similar at the Columbus Zoo. right? Yeah, if you're parked a ways back, sometimes they're running this little shuttle-looking train
Yes.
but there's no track. So
Yeah,
I
there
get
is
it
no
now.
track.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we talked about how the company got started. Here we are 60 years and 3,000 rides later. It's been,
Yes.
through different generations, different forms of leadership. It's not easy to do. What, from your vantage point, what do you believe is the biggest factor behind the company's enduring success?
I'm going to say that innovation has been one of the main factors keeping the company where we are today after almost 65 years, right? And I mentioned almost because this coming year, 2026, is going to be our 65th anniversary, by the way. So I'm gonna say innovation, and evidently the family really took care of the employees, right? That's something that definitely helped the company to stay. And I'm gonna say that the family was able to navigate some hard conditions, right? Um, like the last recession we had back in 2008, obviously through the pandemic. Prior to that, in early 2000s, the company used to do financing to the carnival markets. And then you might recall that also at that time we did have an economic downturn. And so the company struggled, but the family was able to navigate in a way that they were coming out on the other side of the tunnel. So, yeah.
And so it's still a family-owned company?
No, you know what it happened? I'm going to walk you through this. I do believe is relevant and it's important. So family was running the business, generation number 2. Generation number 3 start taking over back in 2000, the oldest of the kids. And then it just happened that in 2016, it was 2016, the family lost the member that was taking over the business, right? So the youngest kid didn't want to be part of the business. Mhm. And then at that time, the youngest kid told his dad, I'm going to join the company, but I'm going to join to help you out to sell the business. So at that point, they hire back in July 2017, Aaron Landrum, who is they hire him as the president. And then right after they hire me, we did both have experience doing transactions. So the idea was, guys, we need your help. We need your help to find a buyer for the company because generation number 3 is not interested. So Aaron and I, we work with the family to be able to do the first of all, the let's say a nice organization here, and then as well as finding the right partner. And then back in 2023, we were acquired by a Permanent Equity Group out of Columbia, Missouri. So the family is no longer a family business. We are part now of a private equity group. And I'm going to emphasize non-traditional private equity group. And what I mean by that is traditional private equity group, they buy, they flip, they sell anywhere between 18 months to probably 5 years. Permanent, that's the reason why the name is permanent. They do say they fill a generational gap, meaning the investments are for the long term, anywhere between 30 years to 50 years. So
Wow.
non-traditional private equity group.
That's very non-traditional.
Yes.
And Jay, you said something that caught my attention. You said that you had experience in transactions.
Yes.
I think maybe we skipped over that part of your career.
Yes, a little bit. Intentionally, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Intentionally.
Something we want to leave in the rearview mirror?
No. I have no issue. You know what happens is that when you have some experience working with some traditional private equity groups, people see you in a different way. And the reason why is because, well, what they do is they make a lot of money, right? But at the same time, and I'm not talking about any specific group. I'm just talking in general. It's money, right? And yes, I did taste that world, and it's just that I was like, whoa, this is a little bit too transactional for me. you know?
Hey, sometimes in life we have to try on hats, not only to find what fits, but to find what doesn't.
Yes.
So you found a hat that didn't fit, but boy, did it give you some good experience that came in later on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? You didn't ask this question, but I'm going to offer my point of view. Working with Permanent has been fantastic. It's a truly non-traditional PEs. They obviously, they guide us. They help us. And the idea is to grow the business. Absolutely. Right. So it has been fantastic so far. So yeah, so I kind of intentionally left that part outside.
That's all right. So, okay, so this private equity group that you're a part of now,
Mm-hmm.
do they focus specifically in the, I don't know, entertainment ride space, or are they just looking for good businesses in any industry?
I want to say that the diverse portfolio they have is not specifically just for amusement attractions.
Okay.
They do own from matchmaking services all the way to chance rides and anything in between, right? So they don't have one specific industry that they go after. My understanding, obviously, I have limited knowledge of if they are looking for specific industries, but with the limited information that I have, I know that the portfolio is well diversified.
Mm. So you've been with Chance Rides since 2017,
Yes.
right? You brought more than 2 decades of experience in manufacturing, sales, engineering, transactions. Now we understand. Is there a key moment or project when that diverse skill set came together to help drive a breakthrough or advancement at Chance Rides?
I'm going to say yes, because I did have a lot of international experience though. And so being able to penetrate different segments and bring in some companies that we are able to collaborate with, those moments is where the previous experience, they came together. At the end of the day, we are today who we are because of what we did in the past or decisions that we made in the past, right? So you are absolutely right. That combination of experience, they came together for penetrating new markets. They came together for having relationships with some companies that we can collaborate with, is when that happened.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
How about maybe a particular challenge, like a complex engineering issue or a tight deadline, something challenging that you had to work through on the professional front, and how sort of your creative problem solving came about to help that?
Yes. So I'm going to give you perhaps a couple of examples, but I'm going to focus perhaps in the first one that came to my mind. So we are part of different organizations in the continental US. One of them is ACA. ACA stands for Aquariums and Zoos Association of America, right? Is where all the zoos and aquariums, they are as a group together, right? And it's an association. You have to be accredited to be part of that group, right? And it's a perfect example. Let me tell you why. It happened at Columbus Zoo. Mm-hmm. So traditionally, we have one conference, annual conference, and that conference is in September, and it moves from one zoo to the next one and see. So a few years ago, about 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, I should say, the ACA annual conference was in Columbus, Ohio. So here I am working with them on this electric train since year and a half prior to that year. So the VP called me and said, "Hey, Jay, how soon can you be here?" As soon as you need me. Well, can you be here? It was a Friday, and she said, "Can you be here Tuesday?" Absolutely, I can be there. So, Jay, you got the deal. If you can deliver that train 2 weeks prior to ACA, and that was something in May, right?
So what time span are we talking? From October to May? Did I hear that right? Okay.
This is from well, think about it now. From May, placing the contract in May, and delivering that product kind of mid-August. It was a very challenging project.
Oh. What's the typical delivery timeline?
6 months.
Okay.
6 months.
So now you're going from May to August, which is June, July. That's 3 months. It's half the time.
It was very challenging. So I said, you know what? As much as I want to have the deal, I have to have a video conference or at least a conference call with 2 key people in the company. Obviously, my boss, the CEO, as well as the operations manager. If I am able to sell them, then we can commit. So I asked for some timing. Said, give me an hour. Just let me go to my car. Let me have this conference call. So evidently, had this tough conversation with Aaron and Jeremy. Guys, this is the situation. This is what we have. If we are able to, we got the deal. And then, well, timing wise, there is no way that we can make it happen, right? And as you mentioned before, you start thinking, how do I solve this issue? And I knew that I had another contract that they were not going to be ready for the timing that they were asking the train for. So I said, guys, if I am able to talk to X company and delay that one so that to some extent we can actually switch part of the building, and as long as they buy and we do have an approval from the other buyer, are you guys up? If you make that happen, we are on it. Okay.
So right now you've got your internal team bought into this. Now you have to go to the 2 different clients and get them to buy into it.
Yes. So that was a challenging project. That was an interesting experience. Thankfully, the things were as we intended. So the other buyer, they were like, we have no issue. We are not going to be ready for the delivery of the train until this time. So yes, we can make it happen. Obviously, from the legal point of view, we had to do all the legal documents and just making sure that everything was okay. So, and that's how we made it happen. So,
wow. I love that.
Yes.
Creative problem solving. So we talked about trams and you educated me on the difference between trams and trains.
Uh-huh.
And now I understand that you guys have moved into e-trams. These are electric trams?
It is 100% electric tram. Let me tell you, we came with first, because this is a result of the experience with the electric train. So we used to do the CP Huntington fossil fuel, meaning diesel, gasoline, and propane. And then back in 2017, at the time that I joined the company, we came with the electric CP Huntington, which now we have been doing the electric train since 2017. So to some extent, we were reacted to the market. They were asking us, when are you guys coming with the electric tram? Obviously, developing a product 100% from scratch, it takes time and it takes a lot of money, right? So what we did, actually, we worked together with a company out of Sweden. So they did develop the technology and we do the manufacturing. So we just came a perfect match. They did the development, we did the manufacturing, and we do the manufacturing. So it's 100% electric. We have a couple of advantages versus some other people. Is you can literally plug it on the wall of your house, 120, 48 volts, and we have solar panels on the roof. And the couples that we have out there, we know that 80% of the battery is back from or through the solar panels. So that is the latest and greatest product that we came to the market with. Literally, the first one we delivered was back 2 weeks prior to Memorial Weekend. It's primarily still a new product.
This is brand new.
It's brand new. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you explained to me the complexity of it because you said you had to completely design something from scratch. In my tiny little non-engineering brain, it seems like, well, at least you can use the same chassis, but now you're taking out, what was it, like a diesel engine before? What powered it in the past?
In the past, well, for the train was diesel, gasoline, and propane.
Okay.
For
all three, or you had 3 different models for each one of those fuel types?
The same shape, just different sources of powering. Yep.
Got it. And so to me, I'm thinking, okay, you've got one that you had propane, one that's gasoline, one that's diesel, and you're taking out, I don't know, a chunk of componentry. But it sounds like switching out for the electric version was not quite so simple.
Exactly.
It's not just swapping between diesel and propane.
Exactly. That is, you just touched exactly the baseline problem that we had to solve, right? The only thing that you have is what your limitations are when it comes to this is the space that I have to work with to develop an electric CP Huntington train. With the tram, once again, we thought, you know what, this is going to take a lot of time and a lot of money. So that's why we found that the company in Sweden, they already did the development of the technology. Hey, we just do the manufacturing, right? So going back to your point, yeah, it's very complex when you are actually thinking of a new product, knowing that you want to do the same shape of the replica of the previous product. Now, instead of using fossil fuel power, you want to use batteries as the power source for this new attraction. It was quite challenging.
And so you've got two of them out there in the field now. Seems like it's going really well. 80% of the electricity that's used is coming from the solar panels.
Yes.
Where do you see this going? What's the future of this look like?
Well, once again, using the experience that we have with the train, where we know that perhaps the first 2 or 3, they were a little bit difficult to sell. Obviously, we are talking about back in 2017. I do believe human beings, as the time goes by, more people are looking into the electric, right? So some states here in the continental US are actually giving incentives to some companies as they switch to electric. I do believe over time, we're going to become more environment conscious, friendly, and we see it. More people are more interested now in electric and electric products. Yeah.
I presume the hesitation is that the electric is going to cost more upfront. The batteries are a lot more expensive.
I'm going to say for the trams, specifically for the trams, one of the main reasons why we collaborate with this company in Sweden is because the design from the moment number 0 or number 1 was 100% electric. So pricing point of view is actually not as high as many people could believe. The price that we have for that electric tram is very competitive, actually.
Mm-hmm. And so what's the hesitation from folks buying it? Just it's something new?
It's something new. And if you think about it, a lot of places where they do have technicians or maintenance teams, they are used to deal with grease, they are used to deal with diesel, they are used to deal with gasoline. When they hear electric, they immediately picture in their mind, oh my gosh, it's going to be a computer that I have no clue about, right? And it's not that hard. It's easy. So it's a little bit of reluctancy. But once again, as the time goes by, we see the change back in 2017 to 2025, right? People are more open to learn, to talk about it. And we see that the people are changing. Little by little, they are embracing more. Yeah, we are going electric.
So aside from the electric trams and trains that you guys have developed and are now selling, what are some other fun future projects that are on the horizon?
Yeah, I'm going to share what I can share with you, because obviously, as you know, some of the contracts that we have very tight NDAs, right? What I can tell you is that we are working with one of the companies in the amusement industry. We are working on a fantastic project that I do believe is going to be open sometime in 2028. And that's pretty much what I can share. Is impressive, and it's very exciting, right?
Okay.
We are working with another company in the Middle East that also the concept of that product is we are really just blown away by that concept, right? So we are working on multiple projects that very, very exciting, very challenging projects though, but we are very excited to work on those.
How about like any internal, I don't know, acquisitions of new skill sets or new product lines that might be coming?
I'm going to say obviously we are one of the good news now we being part of this group is that they are welcome new ideas. They are welcoming new ideas. So we're exploring a couple of ideas that we might come with, perhaps another line of products that we used to be part of, right? So we are, without giving you specifics, yes, there are a couple of ideas that we are being explored. I'm gonna say.
Well, I think what needs to happen is we just need to put a note on the calendar for, I don't know, a year or two from now so we can check in and hear about it once it's in the public domain.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Now, something very exciting that we just work on and that I believe it is worth it to mention. I'm not sure if you are familiar with this place in Vegas called Area 15. Area 15 is a very unique place. You can look their website, and I'm not making publicity for these guys, but it is quite unique place. So they had the idea of doing this post-apocalyptic carousel, and we work with them and develop a post-apocalyptic carousel. So that's a carousel that is very unique in many different ways. The lighting system is just unique. The figures we did for them is just try to picture that you see a turtle, half turtle and half robot, wearing a helmet, right? So that's one exciting project.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about. I'm just going to have to come see this for myself at some point.
Okay. Yeah. So that's one of the projects that we work on, and they did the grand opening about 5 weeks ago or so. It's super exciting. And then when it comes to projects that they are going to happen soon, don't have a specific timing when they're going to do the opening. This is public information. I'm not sure if you have heard about this place in Glendale, Arizona. It's a Mattel Adventure Park, and they are going to talk. They're going to open in the near future. We are doing 2 coasters for those guys, so that's quite interesting too. And so yeah, we have a lot of interesting projects.
A lot of fun stuff coming.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Yes, a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right, let's take a turn here and let's explore some challenges that you've overcome, right? Lots of lessons to be learned through going through some hard stuff.
Yes.
What's something that you would like to share that we can learn from?
I'm going to share with you one experience that I actually had or went through working for the second German company that I work. I was managing all the OEMs from Asia Pacific, where I'm going to see all the Japanese accounts. And I'm talking about Honda, Toyota, and Nissan. So we landed a contract. And one Friday, the CEO called me. I was living in Nashville at the time. The CEO called me and said, "What are you going to do this Sunday?" And I knew that every time he was calling me, asking me that question, he wanted me to go somewhere overseas. So I replied, "Carlos, where do you want me to go this Sunday?" "I want you to go to Tokyo. And I want you to decline the business." And I'm sorry, what happened here? He said, "Well, you guys took the contract, but the finance department did consider that we were using equipment that we already have. For that specific casting machining, we need completely new equipment because all these I said, "Okay." "Can you give me an hour?" No, I want you to buy your ticket. I want you to be in Tokyo by Monday morning." "Okay. Carlos, if that's okay with you, let me think about some questions that I have." And left the office. My office was in Nashville. The traffic is very bad nowadays, or still back then it was very bad. So during my driving, about an hour and a half from home, I got home and I called him back and I said, Carlos, do we want to decline the business? What it will take for us to keep the business? He said, the price increase. If you are able, no, he didn't mention that portion. He said, the pricing, you guys didn't get the right pricing. That's why we need to decline the business. Otherwise, we will be losing money. And I reply, what it will take for us to keep the business. I don't believe you can make it happen. And I said, you tell me, what is it? Increase the price. And it was almost the double of the price. It was almost the double of the price. And I remember telling him, Carlos, if I am able, do we keep this business? I don't believe we're going to make it happen. But if you are, we keep it. Okay. We talked a little bit a few minutes ago about the Japanese culture, being very respectful. And as they are respectful when you do something that you shouldn't, is very traditional culture, where when you got to take it, you got to take it. So it took me, it didn't take me one meeting, it didn't take me one day, it didn't take me 2 days. It took me almost 1 week having meetings every single day, to the point that we were able to reach the price that we needed to be successful. So obviously, it was a success. When you ask me the question, why I learned about that, I do believe I learned that asking the right questions and listening to the other side and putting yourself on the other side's shoes gives you and helps you to understand the other side. And asking the right questions at the right time is something that, if we practice, we communicate much better. Regardless if you are buying or selling something, it's just as human beings. Because I don't believe I did it myself. It was just, hold on for a second. You got to hold it. You got to listen. And before you open your mouth, you got to think about exactly what they are saying. And if you don't understand it, phrase it in a way just to make sure that I understand what you are saying. These are the limits, and tell me, I learned from that experience that. And it was a very challenging. Obviously, I don't have to tell you, I didn't sleep for 1 minute from Chicago here to Tokyo Narita. We are talking about 16 hours. I didn't sleep for a second. Go to the hotel, didn't sleep for a second, just thinking, how do we approach, how do we solve this issue? That was perhaps one of the most challenging project or task that were given to me.
So when you're going into this meeting, they don't have any idea the news that's about to be delivered to them.
Exactly. They didn't.
Okay. You decide, hey, the best way to do this, and I agree, do this in person. This is big news.
Yes.
And somehow over the course of that week, you were able to get to a point where they could accept the new price. Can you tell us anything about the approach that you used? Because, I mean, you're walking in there like, hey, guys, we screwed up, not by a little bit, but by double. Like, you've really got egg on your face at the start of this meeting.
No, I'm going to tell you. That's why I use the very traditional. When I communicate that to my senior buyer, he said, I need 45 minutes. I'll be back, and I'll be back with the team. So when they came back, it was not just himself. It was the manager, the senior manager, the director, the senior director, and the VP of that specific commodity. And it's very, I'm not sure if they still do it that way. The highest rank of that team was the person right in front of me. Everybody else walked one step behind. And this person with the highest rank completely empty his cup. And in the way they are respectful, I had to take it with that respect.
Say it again. He completely emptied
his cup. He let it out.
Okay. It's a figurative thing. I wanted to make sure there wasn't some Japanese custom I wasn't familiar. He let you have it. He let you have it.
Yes.
Okay.
And nobody else was making a single noise. So I had to take it. That was very impressive, by the way. I was like, wow. Yeah, it gotta be the highest rank. Let it out. And so that was the first thing that was like, whoa, right? And obviously he showed up to do that specifically and giving instructions to the other team members saying this, and that, right? And obviously every day we were tackling some questions that they were asking me, providing the answers, and they wanted to know a lot of how we screw it, right? Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so what was your approach?
My approach was,
yes, sir, sorry, sir?
No. Once again, listening, and asking the questions, right? Because sometimes, once again, I'm not sure if all the people, but at least sometimes myself, especially doing sales, sometimes you try to sell without listening, right? And when you listen is when you learn what exactly is the thing preventing or the reason why they say no, right? So you have heard this expression that most of the salespeople we do. When you hear a no, it's not necessarily a no. It's you got to understand why that is the answer, right? It's just asking questions. My approach was let them speak, listen to what they had to say, and then don't reply absolutely right immediately. Listen, think about it, and then propose. That was my approach. Mm-hmm. Listen to what they have to say. What are the reason behind all of that? And we can say it was easy. It was surprising, right? Screw the budget. No, it was way more than that.
There's
right?
a trust issue at that point.
You
have to regain their trust.
Exactly. I mean, you mentioned one word that was, or I do believe is still key today in the Japanese culture. When you have their trust, most likely you can do business for the rest of the life. You have heard about those relationships when the Japanese culture, they go for life. So it was a little bit personal because obviously I have worked with the guys at the time, many years, coming to them, doing that. It was being respectful. What like, we build all these trusts for all these years and then out of the blue, you burn the bridge. Yeah, it was. But
it was tough.
Yeah.
But so you navigated it. You put it back together.
Yes. And once again, that's perhaps one of the most challenging tasks that was given to me. And I still remember today like it was just yesterday.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Jay, what's your superpower?
I believe I have none.
I beg to differ. Search.
No, I'm going to say something that I am very proud of is, and I'm going to phrase it that way, I'm very proud of that I like to keep learning things every single day. I believe I share with you that personally did my undergrad. After the undergrad, did multiple certifications. And then I did my MBA in Vanderbilt. And then after that, I do believe at that point, I realized that my thirsty or my hungry for learning, I cannot feed enough run my brain. So at that point, I decided to do my doctorate and did my doctorate in the Netherlands. And actually, it's kind of interesting because last night I was just having a conversation with my wife and I told her, you know what if I do this? She's like, are you going to ever stop going? So I do believe that's just, I don't know how to phrase it in the right way, but
curiosity. Your superpower is curiosity.
Probably that's the right way to say it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what is your doctorate in?
Business, and I did my specialty in marketing and specifically social media, how social media is impacting not your life, my life, personal life has been impacting that for many, many years. How it's impacted actually corporate decision making.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is this what was the timing of this doctorate? Was this while you were with Chance Rides or before?
Yes. Actually, I started my doctorate back in 2018. It's something that I already had the idea when I joined the company. I talked to the former owner of the company. This is what I have as my plan for education. I want to complete my doctorate. So I joined the doctorate in 2018, and I completed my doctorate last year. So I did my doctorate while working for Chance.
Give us the short 1 to 2 minute version of how is social media affecting the way companies are run?
Yes. Well, I'm going to say 1 or 2 minutes. Younger generations are already taking corporate positions, and younger generations are living with social media for everything they do, right? From buying shoes all the way to making decisions of softwares, equipments, and things like that. These new generations are bringing that behavior, and that behavior is affecting no 100 tennis shoes. They are impacting decision at multi-million-dollar purchasing decision making. That's how it started. But at the end of the day, some actually they are using that also as feedback for whatever decision they are planning to do impacting the business. So, yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite thing to do outside of work, Jay?
Training for my triathlons.
Okay.
So my definition of fun is go for a swimming, go for a run, get on the bicycle, and then racing. The racing is something that I really enjoy doing it.
And when is the next triathlon that you're doing?
The next, I'm doing a half marathon on December the 14th. Then I'm doing half marathon in Vegas in February. Then I'm doing my first triathlon of the season in 2026 in early April here in close to Wichita. But my next Ironman is in Maryland in June 2026.
Okay. Yep. The actual Ironman.
Yes.
The big one. Nice.
That's the big one. Yes.
Well, Jay, I've just got one more question for you today, but before I ask it, I want to do 3 things. First of all, anyone who wants to get in touch with Jay, he's given us permission to give out his personal or his work email address, I should say. And it's j.aguilar@chancerides.com. Aguilar is spelled Aguilar, j.aguilar@chancerides.com. And obviously, you can learn a lot more about the company and what they do at chancerides.com. We'll have links to both of those in the show notes. Also, as a reminder, if you want to get more employees access to benefits that won't hurt them financially and carries a financial upside for the company, reach out to us at addbackbenefits.com. Finally, if you'll take just a moment to leave us a comment or review on your favorite podcast app, you will hold a special place in our hearts forever. Thank you. So last question for you, Jay. A year from now, you and I reconnect and you are celebrating something big. What do you hope is that big thing you're celebrating 1 year from today?
Professionally speaking, a big contract somewhere in the Middle East. Yes. And a couple of contracts here with some of the big boys.
Some things that sound like maybe they're in the works.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And then personally, one of my granddaughters is actually graduating in May 2026. And so that's from the personal side. I love my grandkids, love my kids. So that's always, regardless where I am in the world, I did a commitment that I'm not going to miss as long as I'm living and I can move. I'm going to go to every single graduation of the grandkids. So
this is a graduation from high school that's upcoming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Terrific.
Yes.
Well, Jay Luis Aguilar from Chance Rides, I want to be the first to thank you for sharing both your time and your story with us today. I really appreciate it.
No, Anthony, thank you so much for having me. It was a quite interesting conversation, by the way.
For me as well. Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of the Inspired Stories podcast. Thanks for learning with us today.